Hi, I'm Archbishop Matthew RAWCLIFFE. Please join me and some great guests as we take a journey where I will spread positive and enlightened messages to educate, heal, and help others as we chat about various subjects with the help of God. Tune in every second and fourth Thursdays at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on Paranormal King Radio Network. Hey, how's everyone doing out there tonight? We're coming on a little late. Stuff happens. We're going to start off like every night like we always do. Prayer of St. Michael. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. St. Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our defense against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do you, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and the other evil spirits who prowl around the world, seeking the ruin of souls. Amen. Tonight with us, we got Archbishop Torres from the Psalm St. Michael the Archangel, my order.
Hey, what's going on,
brother? Finally got him. Good, doing good. Finally got him on the show. I was on his. Now I guess he got to return the favor.
Yeah, of course, man. It's always a privilege to to reciprocate the love, with my brothers and my family, man. So it's good, man. It's been good. It's been a ride so far. Obviously a lot of transitions. We did lose our prior general a few months ago. So, and the order is slowly recovering emotionally and spiritually. We did feel the loss of Archbishop Endega.
Great,
but,
man.
we are, but we're carrying on the work of that he wanted us to. And, we'll carry on God's work. And I know he's looking down from heaven and he's happy at us.
For sure. And always, we got Ron Stokes with us, as always.
High fives, good vibes, everyone.
Ron's such a hippie.
I love it.
I love it.
Definitely, man. I'm happy to be with family again. Feels good. Another therapy session. Thank God.
Yeah. That's the way to do it.
Yeah. It's been a really rough couple of weeks just trying to wait to get to this show. It's been rough just waiting on it. I knew it was happening and I got excited. I got ready. And then all of the turnaround, I think we did all right. 30 minutes out, it's fine. That's fine. Let's run.
Oh, it's good,
it's all
the show
good.
must go on.
Always.
What they say, the show must go on.
And Ron and I, we're coming off of, we just got it. And Talia was there too. Sister Talia was there. We got, Ron, what did you guys have out there? That was up at the Belmont.
Yeah, that was the Upstate Spirit Conference in Abbeville, South Carolina.
Yeah.
Mont Inn. And, we had, I think, training up 65 different teams right there, and we were rocking out. 30 people ended up getting tickets to have fun in that haunted hotel with us, and
Right on.
and then we got the opportunity to bring them back for a Saturday night as well. There was 15 people that did not have enough of Friday night that wanted more, so we ended up again.
There we go. And Ken, what you been up to? I mean, I know you've been busy.
Oh man, so I just got back from upstate New York. I was at the Dark Waters Paracon in Plattsburgh, New York. I was out there representing the foundation and the order as well, and it was a beautiful thing. It was my first Paracon out there talking to people, educating the public. I gave a lecture on demonic possession and exorcism, and unexpectedly, we ended up doing a deliverance prayer for a young gentleman who didn't know we were going to be there.
Right
And
on.
so normally what ends up happening is, we try to get the evaluation, but all the signs were there. The supernatural signs was there. He was holding the rosary. He couldn't hold it. He wanted to violently attack me. His eyes were turning black and then they turned white. Then, Joe Frankie and I, we, did a private minor deliverance prayer, and I'm hoping that he keeps in touch with us. But
Yeah, for
and then
sure.
what else? And then 3 weeks ago, I was actually in Virginia Beach, Virginia with S.P.I.R Promotions, and we were doing a charitable event for a gentleman who has stage 4 brain cancer, and he wanted to do
Oh,
an investigation with the foundation. So we did that along with RTL Paranormal, S.P.I.R Promotions, and we investigated the Beacon Theater in Hopewell, Virginia. So
right
that was a
on.
wonderful experience. Yeah. And then waiting for a phone call. There's a possibility that I might be going to Costa Rica for December 3rd and 4th for an international paranormal convention, the very first of its
Oh,
kind.
right
And
on.
I might be a speaker there, but we'll see, man.
Right
What
on.
else? Just chaplaincy work, doing my thing, hanging out with veterans like I always do. And so life has been good. I cannot complain.
Right on. We got Sister Talia's made it in the chat, Ken.
Oh, nice, nice. The chat room's
Nice.
actually open. Good,
Yeah.
good, good,
Yeah, it
good.
is.
Very cool.
Nice. Oh, perfect. We got some people in here. Nice, nice. Love it, love it. Hello, everyone. Man, so where do we begin? Right.
Oh,
So how's this going?
we
I don't know.
we got coming up, Halloween. I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, what do you think? You're gonna be having more or less
As
of
far as activity
as
wise,
yeah, activity wise.
generally speaking, it seems like throughout Halloween, there seems to be more of alleged activity, and I think a lot of it is either the superstition, or everybody's watching a lot of horror movies, or there's the idea that it's the new harvest, and the veil is thinned, and
Yeah.
so people are going to be experiencing these things. Well, I mean, I can tell you from my end on the foundation side, this past week alone, I've got like 5 new cases, and one of them actually really strong. And there seems to be some anomalous and dark activity there. But other than that, man, who knows? Who knows? I mean,
I
we'll
think
see when Halloween gets here.
I've usually noticed it's not really around the Halloween. It's usually after is when I see it spike. Like
November.
November.
Yeah,
November, yeah.
yeah,
So many phone calls in November, man. Everybody's got pareidolia. They done watch too many horror flicks, and every time they turn around, they're seeing shadows behind them. It just takes over.
yeah. It is. It's funny because a lot of us, most of our cases too. We'll get people say, "Hey, I need your help. I heard some noises. I saw some shadows." I go, "What show were you watching, and what movie were you watching?" Yeah, I was watching The Conjuring. I was watching the Amityville Horror. I was watching The Exorcist. I was like, "Okay, yeah, it's
Yeah,
probably
yeah.
not much going on." Or I was watching that new show, The 28 Days Haunted, and all of a sudden there's like, "Oh, I think there's a demon that jumped through my television." I go, "Well,
Oh, great.
wouldn't surprise me if it did, but that's highly unlikely."
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
So
man, represent.
so you know,
That's a great
so
show.
you got him. Yeah. No, what, the 28 Days Haunted?
Yeah, I'm liking that.
You know what? I'm going to keep my opinions to myself. Just because that's our counterpart, but obviously, there's some issues with the family, Tony S.P.I.R and Chris McKinnell.
Yep.
And so
Yep.
whatever, there's some issues, whatever, but it is what it is. You know, oh my gosh. All right. So taking off your shirt and yelling at a demon is not going to do anything. You know what I mean?
No, no,
I
it's
just,
not.
I just,
Not at
I don't,
all.
I
Not even
mean,
close.
and as far as I know, and and I'm with Joe Frankie all the time. Joe Frankie is one of the Warren
We had
Spirits. He's been
we
with them
had
for
Joe. We had
37
Joe on
years.
last time.
Yeah,
We had Joe on last
yeah.
show. Love
He's
Joe to
been with the
death.
Warrens.
He's a good
He's
guy.
awesome. I love
He's
him. I
awesome.
love him.
We had a great show with him
He's
last
been
week. Last show.
he's been with the Warrens for 37 years, and
That's a long time.
as he recounts, they've never taught anything about 28 days being halted or anything like that. So, to me, I take it with a grain of salt. And I'm not going to say much because I'm friends with most of the investigators that are on that show, and I say kudos to you, congratulations on a very successful show. I know it takes a toll on you psychologically and physically being away from your family, but for
True.
me.
Stay
I
safe.
just had a hard. It took me 2 days to get to the very first episode, and it's not because I didn't like. It's not because I don't like the actors. It's because it was just. It's so much of what we teach. It goes against of what we teach in the foundation,
Yeah.
and to me,
And the order.
that yeah, and that too. But to me, it's just like okay, all right, I see what you're doing, but it's no different for me than going into a residential and doing a case. I mean. Essentially, you're staying in a hotel. I
True.
stayed in a haunted hotel a few nights ago in Plattsburgh, New York. So that's kind of like the same experience.
Oh,
I
how was that?
experienced some stuff. I heard. Well, I stayed in room number one at the oh my gosh,
Number one.
Valcor Brewing Company. So
Nice.
Valcor Brewing Company, it's in Plattsburgh, New York. It's an old historic building from 1812, and it was the old officers' quarters. And then I stayed in room number one, and Joe stayed in number three, which is allegedly the most haunted rooms. I was taking a shower, and as I got out, I heard someone knocking on the door. When I looked, I thought it was Joe. Nobody was there. I was laying down, I heard footsteps, and supposedly there was supposed to be occupancy in the room between us, but there was no one there. So we heard voices and noises, and I heard phantom planes. But, once I put my CPAP machine,
Yeah.
good night. You know what I
That's
mean?
all she wrote.
Yeah, I didn't want to get into the whole psychosomatics. And I think that's,
Yeah.
a lot of these shows, that's what it plays into. It plays into the psychosomatics. And no doubt that, some of these people are good investigators. But, for me, yeah, we'll leave it at that.
That was some different techniques, man. I would say that I don't think I'm going to tell anybody to go and lay in a coffin. I'm really not.
No. No, I'm
Yeah.
good there.
There's just so much residual energy there, and you have no idea what type of energy was there, and to me, I view that I view that as if you're mocking the Trinity, like if you're mocking God, right?
Yeah.
I feel like
Yeah.
you're mocking the dead. I feel like you're mocking the dead.
Slap in the
It's
face.
like why would you want to lay in a coffin? Why would you do that? I mean, it's rude, it's disrespectful. For what experiment? I've never, ever, 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 you know, had an experiment like that. And if you guys hear me, whatever, if you guys don't like what I have to say, that's fine. Private message me. We can talk privately. I'll take off my collar and we can have a conversation. The fact of the matter is that there's a lot of garbage out there.
Yes,
A
there is.
lot of
There's a
garbage out
lot.
there,
A ton.
and these shows are entertaining. That's what they're meant to be.
It's entertainment.
You can't get a
It's
good
not a
grasp of being an
documentary. It's
investigator.
entertainment.
Yeah, you watch
Well,
it.
no, even that.
If you
Yeah,
get
it's ghost hunting. It's ghost hunting at its purest. You know what I mean? It's ghost hunting at its purest. At its finest. It's not investigating. It's hunting. It's
Yeah, like I
mocking.
said, it's entertainment. It's not like a documentary standpoint.
Yeah. What are you going to do when you capture all that evidence? Are you going to help the establishment? Are you going to help the business? Are you going to help those spirits cross over? What is
No,
your
they're gonna
ultimate
walk
intention?
away.
And that's what ends up happening. That you go to these places and yeah, you do it respectfully, but what then happens after? You have all your fancy equipment, you do all this stuff, but you're not helping. You're not helping. You're capturing evidence and you're putting it in the computer system, which is good information. and it just gives you a baseline reading of what's going on, and you're getting confirmation of the activity. But in all sense, I mean, there's no help there. And my
yeah,
job,
I agree.
and
Yeah,
my
they
and
didn't
my
know
job is to
they
help.
were going though, did they? They were blindfolded and then dropped off
Yeah,
the front door.
yeah, and it's impressive, to see that some of the people have some good psychic abilities, which I think it's good, and I'm not knocking that, and I'm not knocking their abilities, but for me, there's no point in it. You're not helping anybody. You're not helping yourself. For what? To prove to yourself that you can be in the building for 28 days with this activity? What happens if you go crazy? What happens if after 28 days you get a really bad attachment? What happens after 28 days you come under subjugation and these
True.
entities follow you
True.
home, and it starts disrupting your family, and you get suicidal, you start using drugs, you start doing everything, just like what's
It
his name from
happens.
Paranormal State? What's his name from Paranormal State? I forgot his name. Ryan Buell. Ryan Buell.
What happened to
He
him?
had a lot. He had a lot of stuff happen to him,
Oh
and
yeah.
he had a falling out with the media. He was allegedly accused of taking money and going into drugs, and
Oh, I
I
didn't
don't
know
know.
that.
Yeah, yeah. And then now he's back in the spotlight, but that's the
Wow.
dangers of messing with this stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure.
There's a lot. There's a lot of people, man. They try to fake the funk. They'll put on a collar, not like us, but they'll put on a collar. You know what I mean? And they'll bring a rosary, and they'll bring holy water, and they'll try to act like they're all tough, and puff their chest. But they really haven't seen evil at its purest. They don't know. They're putting on the facade and to show that, oh well, I'm a badass demon hunter. No, you're not. No,
No,
you're not.
no, no. I hate that,
Stop trying to
and I
fake the
hate
funk.
that too. And I hate that too because it puts on like a false, like that's
It's a
how
facade.
everybody is. A facade, exactly. Like
Yeah, it's a
it,
facade.
it gives like
Was
a bet.
demonologist, right?
I hate that term. I hate that term.
One of them was supposed to
Yeah,
be a demonologist, right?
yeah, a firefighter by day, demonologist by night. And you know what? Thank you for your service as a firefighter. And there's no doubt in my mind that you're very knowledgeable. But most of what I see in demonology is people regurgitating stuff that they read from books.
And
Realistic.
who's to say these books are correct? Because honestly, there's nowhere that you can go to actually learn per se demonology.
Yeah,
There are no
and, and,
colleges
and
that have it.
no,
There are no accredited
and
places to go.
and these are names that we've given these demons. Demons really, they're not going to tell us their name in reality, because they don't want us to know, because then we have control and dominion over them, biblically speaking.
Yeah.
So, when you go through these books and you go to the library, the Encyclopedia of Demonology and Witchcraft, you'll see all these different names. And there's a couple of prominent names there that I'm sure, many exorcists have confronted, like the big B one and the one with the L and all that stuff. But
Always.
realistically speaking, most of these demons don't have names. They're not going to tell you their names, but
No.
humans, we have a need to understand, and we want to learn more. So we give these things names. But then now, by giving these things names, now they
You gave it
realize,
more
okay,
power.
cool, you're giving it more power. But
Yep.
what do we know? It's not like we went through seminary school. It's not like we've studied. It's not like we've been in ministry for a long time. I consider myself more of a street priest. You know what I mean? I'm all
Yeah.
about love, compassion, chaplaincy, and I believe that God has been good to me and His grace is upon me, whether or not I'm wearing a collar, whether or not I'm wearing a religious icon. There's that false facade that these people are just wearing all of these stupid things. And I don't mean stupid, and I don't mean to be sacrilegious, but they disrespect these holy objects and these
They
relics
do it
that
in a
they wear.
disrespectful way.
Yeah, they do it as a form of fashion.
Yeah,
They
I can't
do it in
stand
a
that.
form of fashions, and I don't like that. I can't stand it.
Like
I'm right there. I agree with you. I'm right there with you.
I said earlier, like taking your shirt off and thinking that you're about to throw blows and actually get into a metaphysical fight with something. It's
King had a good question. How many fake ministry orders are out there that you know of? That's kind
Well,
of hard one to put a number on. I mean, there's a lot of people. I mean, there's a ton of people that have been like, "Oh, I'm this or that or this," all over Facebook. That's another reason I hate social media. Ken knows this.
right.
and
Ron knows it.
and
And
I don't think it's so much of a fake organizations. I think it's people that are fake
fake
because
people. Yeah, it's more
because
more
you could
along the lines
because
of people that's on their own.
yeah, because we can actually go online legally and we can create our own business. We can create our own temple, with the documents because we have documents.
Yep.
We're legitimate. You know what I mean? But people are like, "Oh, you guys are not a real order." Yeah, we are. You know what I mean? We're just not as prominent as the big parishes. We're monasteries. So I think the
Yep.
question is, therein lies how many fake people within these orders. That's
Correct.
what I like.
Yeah, that's a better question. And there are
Yeah.
still tons out there. I mean, we've ran into a few, and
So,
I mean, we had one. I'm not going to name him, but we had one that we canceled and threw out of the order because he was buying degrees online and misrepresenting himself, and we got rid of
Well,
him very quickly.
just like I'm friends with a prominent, famous bishop, and he messaged me questioning my validity. He goes, "What denomination you are?" Well, he did, help me out in saying the proper title. I was like, "Okay, cool, whatever. I can, respect that for the cease and desist order." But it's like, who are you to question me? I go, I know what I've been through. Then I had this one guy that messaged me, and he's like, "Well, blah blah blah. I have 2 honorary doctorate degrees." I go, "Cool. You have an
Cool.
honorary degree. That's
Anybody
nice."
can get an honorary degree.
Yeah. I
That's
go, but
going. Hey, good job. Pat yourself on the back.
yeah, I go, okay, I go, that's good. And maybe there's knowledge behind that. And I'm not doubting that. But I'm like, okay, an honorary degree, it's like an actor like Denzel Washington getting a magna cum laude from Yale, without putting in any work. You know what I mean? That's really what it is. Like
So pretty
I tell people,
much.
I have a religious degree. I have a real bona fide religious degree, different than an honorary degree and different than an academic degree.
Yes.
I cannot go in and portray myself. Yes, I am a doctor, but I cannot say I'm a doctor of psychology because that's a fallacy. I'm a doctor of divinity and I have a master's in ministry.
There's a
So those are
difference
my
in
credentials.
the DD and like
Yeah,
the the
yeah,
DT than there is like Doctor of Theology
right.
and Doctor of Divinity than there is like you
Yeah.
said, like doctor, like a psychologist or something like that.
Well, yeah.
There's
I
a
mean,
big
most
difference
most of the
because what
well,
we
like
get, we have to go through seminary to get them, and it has to be an accredited
yeah,
seminary.
and not all seminary, and so
Not
like
all,
a lot of the seminary programs. Yeah,
not
not
all
all seminaries are like legit in the sense like, it kills
accredited.
me that there are people out there that they take a 3 month course and they're a doctorate in parapsychology. Well,
Mm,
you're not a psychologist. You haven't gone through your clinicals. You're not state certified. You're not board certified. You haven't done what you're supposed to.
yeah, I mean
And
they
so
do a
like for me,
lot.
it's like that. And for me, I am actually quite humbled because with my doctorates in divinity, normally it's the opposite. Normally, for a person to become a chaplain, they have to get their MDivs, which is a Master's of Divinity.
Yep,
But I
Master of
have a
Divinity.
doctorate in divinity. But there are only certain seminary schools across the country that offer the doctorate of divinity program. I had to write a
There's very
thesis. I had to
few.
turn in my college. I had to write my college. I had to turn in my college credits. I had to do an oral board. I had to do an interview. I had to put in all my history from my ministry that I've worked. I had to do credentials, reference checks, all that stuff, background checks.
Oh yeah,
And then with the transferring of the credits that I've already done, and meeting with the school board and the dean, and proving my integrity, my worth, just to be accepted into the program so that I can finish my last 6 months.
it was like the
And
same with
so it was an
me.
honor.
That's everything that I had to
Yeah.
go through. I mean, Ken, thank God. I mean, allowed me to use him as a reference. But I mean, I'm going
Mhm.
through the same seminary right now, and actually, they offered me to do a double major. I'm not just going for my
Yeah.
Doctor of Divinity. I'm going for Doctor of Divinity and Doctor of Theology at the same time. So instead of
Yeah.
taking a
Yeah.
year, it's going to take me probably 2 years to do.
Yeah.
and
And
with
that helps out
grace.
because we've already got the experience. We've got the college credits and we did the military and all that stuff. But and I'm not saying that we're better, and that's not what I
No,
mean. But what I'm saying is
not
that
by any means.
no, by any means. But what I'm saying is we're well qualified to make an accurate judgment and able to discern, what's right and what's wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. So,
No.
Archbishop, could you please explain to everybody what was your first moment of paranormal?
So for me, my first normal of paranormal, well, my grandmother was a high priestess in Santeria. It's a Caribbean practice known in Puerto Rico and the Dominican Republic. And so I remember with my grandmother, and even to this day, my aunt will confirm it. I would watch her do rituals, and I would watch things happen. She would purposely sit me in the room while she'd sacrifice chickens and do her cleansings and stuff. And I've seen a lot of anomalous things. Like I've seen levitating, I've seen types of stuff. I've experienced points in my life where I was in the living room and there's a running river in the middle of the kitchen. I've also experienced going into another room and I'm in a forest. Now, I don't know if that was a form of childhood trauma and I was making up an imagination because I was in a crappy situation. I don't know. But for me, the first moment was I was with my dad and we were watching Legend with Tom Cruise and Tim Curry as the devil. And we were watching this movie. And one night, I love it. And I remember one night I heard something under the bed, and I looked under the bed, and I got snatched from under the bed. I saw Tim Curry snatch me under the bed. The devil actually snatched me under the bed, and my dad was there, and it was a power struggle. Like literally, he got on the floor, he was pulling me out from under the bed. Something was pulling me under the bed, and when he finally let go, he was like, "What was that?" I go, "I don't know." And there were 3 scratch marks on my arm. So that was my very first moment. Yeah. And then, and then years go by, and I always knew that there was something different about me. I sensed things, I felt things, but, I didn't really think too much about it. Then I moved with my grandmother who was Pentecostal. And so all of that stuff, magic, witchcraft, Wicca, was evil, at that time, Satanist, all that stuff, a lot of misconceptions, whatever. And so for a while I left that, but the defining moment was when I lived with my father in Paterson, New Jersey. I remember the address specifically, 63 Patterson Ave, Paterson, New Jersey. The house is right next to it's on a corner house next to a little chapel. And one time, my dad and I were outside with my little sister, and we were looking up at the window where we lived, and it was a little girl looking out the window. And so my dad was like, okay, well, that's pretty interesting. So I followed him up the stairs and we walk into the kitchen. You make an immediate right to the living room. And adjacent to that living room, there was a hallway that had stairs going up. And as I was going up, I was trailing my dad. A supernatural force pushed him and he flew back 20 feet and he hit the back wall at the top of the stairwell. He ended up having a heart attack, knocked unconscious. He was in a hospital for like a week.
Wow.
So we fast forward a few weeks later, things were happening here and there. And then, my dad goes up the stairs again. At that point in time, my little sister had a tricycle. And that tricycle was on the second floor. It was latched on the wall. It would have had to unhinge itself 5 feet, unlatch itself, roll 10 feet, and turn around the corner. There was no way that can happen. So that tricycle lunged at my dad and knocked him out cold. Boom. Hit a mark. So we had to go to the hospital. One day, my dad and I and my little sister, we were in the living room and we were watching a scary movie. We were watching Stephen King's It. We saw my little sister walk across the kitchen and we're like, hey, sis, come back here. You're not supposed to be in the kitchen. My little sister said, I'm right here. She was sitting in front of us on the floor the whole time. And when my dad went to go, there was a loud crash and I saw it and I heard it. It was a crucifix turned upside down and the Jesus candle shattered. It was shattered. But during that time too, my little sister was complaining. She was having nightmares. There was a little girl that was coming out from under her bed in a purple dress, telling her to do bad things, teaching her how to curse. And so, my parents, they brushed it off and everything until one night, my dad alleges that my little sister was standing there in the hallway in the room and she lunged at them with a kitchen knife. Her eyes were glowing white. Oof. Something had overcome her. Oof. And so, this was after we had suffered the loss of our dog. We had a Japanese Akita. His name was Zuki. Sure. We got to the house one day and he was missing. There was no way. All the doors were locked, even the back door to the patio leading downstairs, the balcony downstairs to the back door was locked. And so we looked for him. We couldn't find him. A few weeks goes by, a few months, whatever, we lost hope. And then I would say maybe a few months, maybe about a month and a half after, we stopped looking for him, we go downstairs to have a barbecue. And then once we go downstairs to the backyard, we found our dog. He was crucified and gutted.
Oof. Nasty. That sucks.
It was nasty.
That's a lot. That's a lot to see too as a kid.
Yeah. I mean, it is a lot, and so these things happen. And then, the local parish priest from the church that was in the corner, and you can Google map the 63 Patterson Ave. Ron, if you Google this right now, you'll see there's a little corner church. And it's that building directly to the left of it. It's a house. It's like a blue house. So the priest was like, you guys are like the fifth family that's lived there within 2 years. So a lot of these things started happening, and then finally we called my grandmother up and we called the local priest, and they did a prayer for the house. And the prayer for the house worked. I remember to this day there was a loud guttural scream,
Mm.
and then the house just got bright. And then a few weeks goes by, nothing. My sister was fine; she was happy. A few months later, getting ready to move out because they're like, you know what, we're not going to stay here. There was a little door inside the closet, and inside that door there was like a back secret patio. And so when my dad looks inside, there's a little box, and he opens the box, and the box had pictures of naked children and dirty used underwear.
Ugh.
Oh,
So my dad turned it
Yeah,
over.
that's
So
bad.
my dad turned it. Yeah, my dad turned it over to the police, and I guess the people that may have lived there before us
Wow.
were into that stuff. They were under suspicion, but there was not enough evidence.
Yeah, that's no good.
And as well as the allegations were that the people that lived downstairs before us were true satanic worshipers, because there was
Oof.
nobody there. Because even then, when we lived there, we would hear people walking downstairs. We would hear yelling and screaming. And I remember my stepmother would call the landlord, like, "What's going on? Why are the neighbors so loud?" And the landlord's like, "There's nobody there except for you. No one has lived there in over 7 months." So
Wow.
that was my true and first encounter with the paranormal. So
That's
yeah,
creepy.
wow,
yeah,
man.
yeah,
Dang.
yeah.
So what was the main reason of you joining the order?
The order was kind of a fluke, to be honest with you. I was going through an existential crisis within my faith,
Yep.
because I was taught my whole life to hate the Catholic Church. I was taught that the Catholic Church is wrong and it's filled with pedophiles and that they're the worst of the worst. And deep down inside of me, I knew that my calling was spiritual deliverance, because while I was in church as a young age growing up, I was a youth pastor, and I was also in the ministry of healing, and I would lay hands on people, but it just didn't feel right. It didn't seem right. It was more like a show. But I remember many times there was multiple pastors that, I guess they received the Holy Spirit and said, the Lord has a calling for you, and your calling is going to be tough, and you're going to help combat and fight evil. And so I'm going through seminary school. I was, in Baylor College doing my formation orientation. And so I saw the order. And so I reached out and I go, well, I saw Archbishop RAWCLIFFE, and I saw Archbishop Ndega, and I saw the other gentleman that used to be a part of us. And I was like, I don't know what it is, but out of everyone else, they seem legitimate and they seem like they're good people. I go,
Well,
I'm going to
we were
go
very
and
open too.
yeah, yeah. And I was like, look, Archbishop, I sent them an email. I sent the email and I was like, look, if it happens, it happens. If they're going to give me some BS Catholic baloney that this and that, then it's not for me. Then we had the commonality. Archbishop RAWCLIFFE and I, we're both veterans. We both served in the Marine Corps. We both served overseas. And I was like,
So
all
we
right,
both serving in
okay, this
combat.
might lead to something. Yeah. And then, not only that, though, it was just like, all right, cool. And then let's start the process. So we started the process as a deacon. And as I was going through the
Yeah.
deacon process with the order, I was also going through another formation through my seminary school, through Baylor College. I was going through two different formations. And so I was reading the book, The Good and Beautiful God, which is a formation book that all my seminary students are required to read, are required. There's no ifs and buts. It's a personal formation book, and it talks about the God that Jesus knew, not the God that people tell you about, not the misconceptions of the false teachings of the false pulpit masters. You like that, pulpit masters, not puppet masters, pulpit masters. Um, and I just had an epiphany, and I was like, "Look, God, I have no idea." And I was talking to my wife at the time, Priscilla. I was like, "Babe, I don't know this. I'm having a conflict of interest. I don't understand these traditions and your rules, and it's too much. It's too structured." But the more I got involved, I was like, "Wow, this is just like the
Well,
military.
well, it's a little
There's a
different with
structure.
us
There's
too,
this,
though, because we don't follow
yeah,
anything with Vatican II. We're a
yeah,
little bit
and
more old school. We follow under the Council of
yeah,
Trent. So
yeah." And so with that being said, during that, the epiphany was like, God, you know what? I think this might be it. Because, I was talking to Archbishop, like, look, Archbishop, this is what I believe in. You know what I mean? I believe that, we're all part of the body of Christ, no matter what denomination we are, except for those who deny Christ. If you deny Christ, you're not a Christian. I go, I am a little unorthodox. I believe that the Holy Spirit dwells within me, and I do believe that I have a better understanding of Scripture. Obviously, I've got my injuries, and I can't remember everything verbatim, but I speak from the heart, and I do believe that God, has given me the ability to talk to people and to minister. And so that's what happens. And then I don't know how it ended up happening. I ended up doing something, and all of a sudden I became an exorcist. I don't know how that became about. Archbishop, maybe you can tell the audience. Yeah. No.
Grace. You are grace. That's the main reason right there, man. Every single time I've been able to talk to you, every single time I've even heard you on your show, I understand you are cooking with grace at all times, man. So all right, so you're going out on handling all of the discernment, and I need to know, what was your biggest brown pants moment in the middle of all that?
Brown pants moment? Yeah, I don't mean to sound, you know what? I don't mean to sound egotistical, but I haven't had a brown moment yet. I believe, yeah, and I'm sure that's going to change. I'm sure that might change one day. I'm sure that might change one day. But I think, because of the way I think and the way I've rationalized things, I try to prepare myself, and I try not to show any fear. And I'm pretty sure that there's going to be a brown pants moment one day. Yeah. Well, I mean, the human side of us naturally is,
the worst thing you can do is show fear.
Yeah, but we're humans, and so that emotion is going to naturally, attack us.
Yeah, but it's how you control it, though.
Well,
that's true.
Up the way you did too, man. I mean, whenever you're growing up and you're dealing with stuff that's straight paranormal, it's going to be a little bit tougher for you to have a moment.
Yeah, and not only that though. I mean, I remember seeing I've seen a lot of weird things my grandmother did, but even when I was in a Protestant church, I did a lot of spiritual deliverance, and I've seen things, and I've prayed for people. I've seen serpents come out of their mouth. I've seen a lot of different things. And I think, the military kind of trains you for that as well, too, because you see the worst.
It does.
You see people lying in ditches, you see dead bodies, the smell of death everywhere, the fact that you may never come home. And I think that's what separates us and Archbishop amongst these other people, that no doubt that they have good intentions and they may be really good, but I'm going to give myself a little toot. And I want to say that I think I'm a little more prepared than they are. You have these people that say, well, I've done over 3,000 exorcisms. No, you haven't. No, you haven't.
No.
You're not Father Amorth. You're not Father Malachi Martin. You have not done 3,000.
I had to tell him, even Father Amorth, I mean, if you look at it, he didn't have, you gotta look at how long he was in the ministry for. He was in the ministry for, what, 40 years or longer? I mean, 50, I think I'm going to go on the line, maybe 50 years.
I think,
and he had maybe around there.
How many exorcists?
I'm not sure exactly, but I know it was in the thousands. But look how many years that took him to get.
Yeah. Not only that,
so anybody that's been in it, anyone that's been in it 5, 10, even 15 years, there's no way you have done that many true exorcisms. This is just not possible.
No.
All right.
I mean, maybe minor right to deliverance.
Here's King with a question in the chat. Where do you think elementals and cryptids come from?
I think cryptids are creatures that have already been on the earth before us.
Yeah, just not discovered.
Or just an older species of humans. Just like the Nephilim, were biblical, and the flood, wiped them out. And I think elementals are just that. They're part of the elements. They're part of nature. They're part of the supernatural world that we choose not to see. Yep. And not everything is demonic. We deal with these types of stuff, and not every day. To sit here and say that I exorcise people every day, no, that's a fallacy. I live my life like a normal person.
I'll tell you this: out of probably 100 calls that I get, maybe one might be real.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Well, and then even then too, you know, I think a lot of people do confuse like demonic possession with infestation. You know, there's a strong possibility. There's always a high percentage. You know, there's a lot of demonic infestation that can
Yep.
happen. But at the same time, too, it's
Vexation.
up to, yeah. But it's also up to us to discern whether it really is demonic. Because if there's a saying, if you are an asshole in life, you'll be an asshole in death. So there's a lot of negative
Yeah.
human spirits, you know, that can portray themselves, and those are the most stubborn ones to get rid of. Human spirits are hard to get rid of because we
Oh
have free
yeah.
will.
Yeah, you have free will in life, and in death you have the same.
So,
Yeah.
what percentage would you say you've dealt with right now on self manifestation or pareidolia more than any of it?
So I would say self manifestation.
Mhm.
I would say about 80%, 85% self manifestation. The other percentage is a mixture of well, no, actually, no, I take that back. 85% of the cases I've dealt with so far have been mental illness. The other
Yep.
percentage is
Yep.
it's a mixture
I
of
deal with a lot of
pareidolia, self
we deal with a lot
manifestation.
of mental illness. A lot of
Yeah,
mental
yeah,
illness.
So,
yeah.
what's the biggest
So,
signs that you get whenever you're seeing that it is a mental illness and not paranormal?
well, you know, so I want to clear this up. Just because you're suffering mentally from an illness doesn't negate that the paranormal activity isn't happening. It doesn't negate that. You
Good.
know, but a lot of times, you know, it's based on our questionnaires. You know, we ask deep, extensive questions. You know, we ask what medication you're on. We ask what type of trauma you suffered: sexual abuse, mental abuse, physical
Yep.
abuse. You know, so it's a deep questionnaire that our psychologists have developed to help us ascertain what's going on. And then what we do is we always have our clients, regardless, get a mental health evaluation,
And
a physical
physical. And
evaluation,
yep.
and physical. More importantly, you know, for the foundation and the order, you know, and so that just gives us a guideline of what we're dealing with.
I'll
Because
tell
if
you
we have a
this, but
person
to
that's dealing with,
even get near myself or Ken, you have to have
yeah,
a mental evaluation done. If not, you're not even gonna get our
yeah,
attention.
it, yeah, you know, not only that, you know, minus the emergency deliverance that we did on Saturday, there were true signs of an attachment there. You know, we weren't going to leave the kid hanging high and dry. He wanted us to pray for him, so we prayed for him. You know, whether or not you want to believe that there was something there, but we saw the effects and we saw what happened. But you know, we prayed for him, and that's our
Sometimes
ministry.
you don't have a choice to go through everything. Sometimes something needs to be
Yeah,
done right then and there. Does it happen all the time? No, but it does happen.
yeah,
Well, here's a
it
change
does
up
happen.
real quick. There's a question in chat from Fulton. Do you think Jews take their religion to an extreme level?
I think all religions take their religion to an extreme level. Well, if you look at Roman Catholicism, the history of it, Roman Catholicism in general, our vestments and everything was an attribute to Judaic belief systems.
Yep.
The way that the rabbis dressed up and all that. So Roman Catholicism was an emulation of Judaic belief systems,
Yes, it was.
and so there's a beautiful correlation. But everywhere you go, Charles, I do think that there's an extreme form of that religion. I mean, look. Christianity in itself, you know, we've had the Crusades, we've had people kill witches in the name of God. So there's extremism everywhere you go. So, you know, and you know, if they take it to an extreme level, I don't think it's so much taking it to an extreme level. I think the word is they are highly devout.
Yep.
They are highly devout, and that's really what it is. That's the you know. I'm a bit of a theologist, and I look at behavior. I look at patterns of behavior, and a lot of these belief systems, you know, they're structured in such a way that you live your life according to it, and then there comes a point where without discernment or without the proper knowledge, it can become pretty extreme. But
Yeah.
it's up to the individual to be in grace. But you
So
know,
it's
I
just
hope that answers your question.
worlds collide, basically.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah, and I really hope that answered your question, Charles. You know, it's for me to I can't speak on behalf of them because I'm also part Jewish as well, and not that it's a personal thing, but that's been my interpretation. That's what I've seen. Everything. As followers of Christ, the Abrahamic belief systems in general, Abrahamic belief systems. Muslim, Islam, Christianity, Catholicism, Eastern Orthodoxy. There can be interpretations, that may seem like they're a little extreme. A lot of it, I do think it's more of a devout following. But you can tell when a person's bad. You can tell when
Oh
a
yeah.
person's doing something wrong. Yeah.
So they could battle demons if they had to with their committed belief.
They could. I mean, but look at the rabbis in the New Testament who were trying to preach. Who were trying to exercise this individual, and the guy that was demon possessed says, Peter, I know of Paul, but you rabbis, I know nothing of. There was no spiritual authority. So
No.
it comes into the term of having a spiritual authority. It's not so much what your belief system is; it's about having a spiritual authority.
Yep.
Entities, demonic entities in general, they understand because they operate in a hierarchy themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They understand spiritual authority. So you can be a person of the faith and honestly not have any spiritual authority, and you can get completely blasted,
Yep.
decimated by these entities. So it's about living in a point of
Oh, and
living in a
somebody
state
could
of
get hurt
grace.
too.
Yeah, well, no, we can get hurt. It's about living in a state of grace and having
Yep.
spiritual authority. That's really what it is. Putting on a vestment, it's not going to give you any authority.
No.
You can go around and and put all these fancy accoutrements on and put a stole and put everything on. But if you're not in God's grace, none of that's going to matter.
Yeah. So you was explaining to me a little earlier, something happened to you whenever you was over there at your conference, and I want you to just at least be able to stay brief with it, so we don't end up running amok all over the place with it. But you said that you had somebody you witnessed getting beat up.
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
All right, please.
So it was a dream. So I hadn't spoken at the time to Joe Frank in like 2 days because I was suffering from jet lag. I got back Monday afternoon at 12 o'clock. I went to sleep at 8 o'clock at night, and I woke up at 6 o'clock the next day. I was so tired. But I remember during my dreams, the individual that we were praying for, he was held up in four corners, tied up four corners with his arms spread X formation, like he was being whipped. And the more that we were praying for him, he was getting whipped, like a demonic entity was whipping him, was whipping him, was whipping him. But as we were praying for him, these ropes started unlatching, and he got strong, and eventually he turned around, and I woke up. So my dream was that this entity was attacking him and it was afflicting him. But through God's grace and us praying for him, he was able to regain the strength and to fight back. And that's where I woke up. But then Joe had a personal experience where it's not my story to tell, but some stuff was happening when he got back from that. But this is a really strong deliverance. And coincidentally, I did it like 20 minutes before my exorcism lecture. So,
How many times has that happened to you? You going to do the lecture, and all of a sudden there's an emergency situation in the middle of it.
Well, this is my first time doing a lecture, to be honest with you. But there's been a lot of times when there's a case that it's prominent, and it seems like it's the evidence is there, but due to the process of elimination, we still have to go through the steps. And I think that's the beauty of us. People like us. We have that gift, and we know. But for all intents and purposes, we still have to go through that validation process. We still have to go through the physical side and the mental side. What I have experienced is like during cases or going on calls dropping, anomalous sounds, noises, scratches, all things leading up to and after that call. There was a time when another team, well, my team, they were on a case. I wasn't able to sit in on that case that day. But I remember I was with my stepmother. She had visited out of town. And I was at the stoplight turning left to come back home, and I almost hit a woman. The woman came out of nowhere. She was literally 100 feet away in the stop sign, and then she looked up, and she was like, "What the hell?" I was like, "What the hell?" I literally was like 5 feet. And she said, she yelled, "How the hell did I get here?" And I go, "How the hell did I get here?" But I literally was close to hitting her. I'm
Wow.
a damn good driver. And then when I got home, the guys called me from the team and they said, after this call, we all got sick. We all got nauseous. Even the person who wasn't of the faith got extremely sick because this was a true demonic case. And so I believe that, I was personally attacked as well. I don't understand. It was a green light and I turned. It was my right of way. And all of a sudden, this woman just comes out of nowhere. It's like, and we're both like flabbergasted. And everyone else was like, all right, it's okay. It's over. But that, I guess maybe that was my brown pants moment. I guess maybe that was a brown pants moment for me. The fact that I almost took a human life, it was like, wow,
I get it.
that's,
I
and that bothered me. That bothered me. I was so pissed off. I replayed that scenario thousands of times in my head. I couldn't focus. I couldn't eat because it bugged me because I know how good of a driver I am. And I was like, okay, something's about to give. It was like, I didn't know where I was, so, and I think that's all attributed to the cases that we work in or are involved in.
Right. Okay, well, I'm going to explain this real quick, and I really need you to tell the story for me because it's so important, man. All right, my favorite story from you is the one about you calling the Warrens' house at 3 in the morning. Now, I realize what you were calling it for, and that's not my favorite moment at all, but you explaining
Yeah.
was just absolutely one of the best times I've been able to even listen to the radio.
Well, I was doing security. I was doing security patrol, and so I heard that Ed Warren had passed away. And so I don't know what I was thinking. I was so tired because I had done a 12-hour shift. I think it might have been like 2 or 3 in the morning, my time, and I called the Warren's house, and the phone rings, and Lorraine answers. She goes, "Honey, why are you calling?" She goes, "Honey, it is so rude to be calling this time of day." And I go, "Ma'am, I'm so sorry. I really didn't realize what time it was. I just wanted to say my condolences." She goes, "Well, thank you, honey. I appreciate that. But, honey, that is rude. Don't you ever call that earlier again." That was the first and last time I ever spoke to Lorraine. But she was so sweet.
Honey, though,
She,
she called you honey.
yeah,
It's awesome, man.
yeah, it was so sweet. And she called me honey. And I guess apparently she called everybody honey.
Yeah,
So,
even a
that,
moment like that right there, she was just complete 100% angel. That's so
yeah, she was
fantastic.
100% angel. She was 100% angel, and I realized I was wrong. I was rude, and I felt so bad. But I wanted to give my condolences because I heard the
Condolences,
news on the cell phone.
you know.
Yeah, 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 for Ed Warren, and yeah, I've followed the Warrens since I was a young kid. I've even also followed Ralph Sarchie. I'm friends with Ralph Sarchie. He's got the book, the movie "Deliver Us from Evil," portrayed by Eric Bana. He's a retired
Yep.
NYPD cop.
Yep.
So I'm friends with him, and I've pissed him off a couple of times. He's messaged me, but we're still friends. And I say, hey, Joe, hey Ralph, it's all in good fun. I go, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to offend you. That wasn't my intent, but my apologies. You were offended, but I'm not going to apologize for being who I am. But he's an outstanding gentleman. I like him. He calls it how it is.
Yeah.
But I've had my I've had my brush with a lot of these older paranormal investigators who are in their ways, and I respect that. It's never my intent to disrespect them.
Right. And just making that call and trying to give your condolences means so much, man.
Yeah,
I have actually had a moment where I broke into an ICU to try to go
yeah,
see a friend of mine, and mom was the only one that was trying to stop everybody and say, no, let him in, let him see. And it meant so
yeah.
much, you know.
Like for me, I have one of Lorraine's rosaries. Chris McKinnell, her grandson, gave me one of her rosaries, and it sits in front of my desk on my Saint Benedict medallion. And then just recently, Joe Frankie was kind enough, and he gave me Lorraine's memorial for her funeral. So it was her card, for her funeral. So it was just beautiful. So every day, it's a blessing, to be within the foundation. Yeah, yeah. Uh, but that's just that's just the way it is.
After a moment like that, and everybody being able to at least get the grief done. Y'all were able to come together as a team. When did you join?
So I joined the foundation about 2 years ago. I was here in town. I've done some residentials. I was helping out another team, a good friend of mine, Cece, from Soul Seekers Paranormal. And I was on Facebook and I saw that they were recruiting for the Warren Legacy Foundation. And I go, oh, okay. I didn't realize that, it wasn't NESPR. I wasn't trying to get on with NESPR, but I applied for the foundation. At that time, there were two women who were directors. And so I interviewed with them and said, hey, look, I don't have a lot of experience with residentials. What I do have is a clear and contrite heart, and I've helped people and I understand these things. And apparently I knew a lot more than I gave myself credit for, and they were impressed. And I was like, I'm a veteran too, and I speak Spanish. And so it kicked off from there, and they gave me the opportunity. Those two ladies have since moved on, but now I am the regional director for the Spanish subdivision, and I have 24 members under me that I'm in charge of. And I'm also a board member for the Warren Legacy Foundation. So,
Yeah, that's a huge opportunity right there. Able to take care.
Yeah, I mean,
that's great.
It's we do what we do. I mean, and even it's beautiful because I've been able to integrate, the order within the foundation because it works hand in hand. There's people that are like, we help them deal with the paranormal. It's just like, all right, cool, you're done. All right, no more paranormal stuff. Now let's provide healing for you. Give me a call. I'll be your chaplain. I'll talk to you. I'll pray for you. I'll give you mass. So it works hand in hand. Being part of the order, honestly, has been a benefit because it's allowed me also to reach more people within the foundation because of my title and because of the things that I've worked hard for. So it all works in hand. Works hand in hand. So it's synchronicity, I call it.
And we finally got him to use his title forever. He's like, I don't like these. I don't know if I'd be called that.
Yeah, yeah. It was like growing up Protestant. And you shall call no other man father. But that's a biblical misinterpretation. Jesus was talking to the Pharisees, about the arrogance. About they knew all this law and they knew all this scripture, but they forgot their original passion, which is the love for Christ. And so that was meant, as a form of scolding. Call no man on earth father and call no man on earth teacher. So by that thought process, that means that your biological father, you can't call him father, and you're not supposed to call anyone else teacher on earth. There's a lot of false misrepresentations. I'm really comfortable now using, my title. For me, like I just got promoted to Archbishop a few months ago.
Which he earned big time.
Well, yeah, I know that. But I just got used to the father title, so I'm like, I got to change my business cards again.
Yep.
So I just say father. I tell people you can call me father, you can call me reverend, you can call me doc, you can call me Ken. For the most part, I tell people just to call me Ken. That's how I am. You know what I mean? And as I gain people's trust, naturally inclined, they'll call me father or bishop. But it's like, we're friends, just call me Ken. But now that, I'm comfortable in my position, it doesn't matter. Reverend, doctor, archbishop, father, what's the other, vicar general. So it doesn't matter. Call me whatever you want.
Yeah. So let's give a shout out to your show real quick, man. Give the information when it is.
All right. So I have a show here on the Paranormal King Radio Network as well called Enter the Dark with my co-host Dalton Harold. We go on every second and fourth Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific. And so the show is meant to be an educational show. We talk about a lot of different things, really entering the dark, which, the interpretation is entering the mind of paranormal investigators and people who've been afflicted and entering into this multiverse and this intricate web of what the paranormal life is. So enter the dark.
Yeah.
Here's one that King asked if they are allowing female priests. Yes, some orders do. Some orders, St. Michael the Archangel, we do not. Not that we so much don't allow female priests. We don't.
It's not within our tradition.
It's not within our traditions. Yeah, that's a good way to put it, Ken. We have nuns and religious sisters. So that's pretty much what it is. I mean,
even then though, we have to give it to our nuns, like Sister Talia. She's
Oh,
spiritual sister right
nuns
now.
have a very, very
Yes,
key role within
they
the Catholic
they
community.
there's things that they can do that we can't do as priests.
Oh,
You
for
know what I
sure,
mean?
for sure.
They are strong, intelligent, powerful women, religious leaders. And so, but unfortunately, not unfortunately, but it's just not within our tradition and our custom. We do follow the Council of Trent, and we don't allow female priests. And it's not to be sexual. We are just comfortable in our traditions, and that's how we want to keep it. And we follow the rules that have been set down and the traditions that have been set down by our prior general, Archbishop and
Who was the
may he rest in
founder?
peace.
Who was our
Who is the
founder?
founder of our religious order. So, hey, Christine, you can reach out to Talia.
She can also go to the website.
com. Yeah. Check out our website. We worked really hard on it. It was a culmination of hard work, and hopefully you enjoy the website as well.
Yeah, that's Team S.P.I.R right there.
Yeah, buddy.
Yeah. S.P.I.R.headquarters. Rock on.
Yep.
Yep. Legacy Foundation. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
So what are your plans coming up in the future? What else are you lining up right now, bud?
So right now there's a potential trip to Costa Rica for this Paracon. We'll see. There's another opportunity. I was reached out by another investigator to go out to Costa Rica before the event to potentially go do an exorcism. I've reviewed the video, I've reviewed the evidence, and there's supernatural feats that are being displayed within the video. But I have to make sure that the family gets a good psychological and physical evaluation.
That's something we'll have to talk about too, Ken.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk about it because this just came across my desk like last night, and I was like, I'm just too tired to deal with this right now.
Yep.
And then, the future, we'll see. I'm with Flumeri Promotions. It's a talent company representing the foundation. And so he's also representing me individually. So my goal is to go out there, represent the order and the foundation more, and give lectures and educate people about the dangers of the occult.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll be able to get Ken to come to South Carolina sometime.
Yes.
Yeah.
Education
that's the goal.
in South Carolina for all this is horrible, man. We do not have enough people setting up educationals, and it's a horrible travesty.
Actually, within the order, we're actually in the process of making a accredited seminary.
Yeah, I actually have a platform up right now for our students, and it's in trial right now, and it's a seminary school. And so hopefully, as we grow within our organization and we have more people and potentially more students, we'll go for the accreditation process. And, we charge for classes, because we have to maintain our ministry and our website, and, it's our time and it's our resources as well. And we don't generally charge for anything, but for our seminary school.
For seminary is one thing, but we never charge for anything having to do with exorcisms or anything, the Ministry of Exorcism. We'll charge for weddings. There's a lot of other things like this. We'll do house calls that call for communion and stuff. We do not charge for that.
Yeah, and paranormal investigations, all of mine are free.
Yeah, we don't here in the order. We don't do those, but we kick them out to the Legacy Foundation and S.P.I.R.
Yeah.
If you could just send the Archbishop RAWCLIFFE, Prior General, a pizza, a donation, that helps tremendously.
Yeah. Pizza.
Or Ken.
Pizza.
Or Ken. Or
yeah.
Make sure.
We're gonna have to have a virtual pizza party one day, and I think we're gonna do that. I'm gonna set something up where we can just have a Zoom, and we can have a virtual pizza party. Honestly, my work with the foundation is a beautiful thing, and also the order. I love the order. I love everything it stands for. And we're not big and we're not famous, and that's okay. We're not trying to be. We're trying to touch lives.
It's not.
We're not here to try to be famous or be on TV.
And you know what? A lot of people.
It's the last thing
a lot of people
want.
And a lot of people don't like us because we're true. We're honest. We work out of our homes. You know what I mean? So sometimes you may have a messy background. But you know what? It doesn't matter. You know, that's our office, that's our home, that's where we do our work. You know, it's quite difficult. You know, it can be challenging, but it's also rewarding having a family and working in ministry. You know, it's tough, but it's very rewarding. It's very rewarding. So my goal and my dream for the order is to
Well, and a lot of
have
us also
monasteries.
do. A lot of us, we also do. Like myself and Ken, we do outreach. So a lot of
Yeah,
times
yeah,
we're in the field. I deal with a lot of homeless veterans.
yeah,
Man, it was
yeah.
last week. I spent almost the whole night out in the woods with this veteran, trying to convince him to come out of the woods and actually get help.
You know,
Wow,
and
man.
I deal with veterans too. Like I'm a captain for like PGA Hope, which is a veterans golf program. I go out and I surf with veterans. You know, I work. You know, I do events with the Wounded Warrior Project. So a lot of outreach as well. You know, at the same time while maintaining my physical health. You know, I have physical ailments, and you know, I go to my doctor's appointments. I go to physical therapy.
Same
It's
here.
life, man.
Are
The
y'all
show
doing
must go
online
on.
masses?
We can. I haven't done one yet, but I think you know potentially next year. You know, once we get our schedules aligned, we're going to start doing more masses. You know, I do have a website called FatherKenDoctor.com, and I do have a Facebook business page called Archbishop Ken Doctor. And so every once in a while, I'll go on there. I'll try to do a live. I'll try to give a little sermon. I'll do some biblical scriptures, and then I have the Solomonic Order of Saint Michael California Diocese Facebook group. That's basically our little online monastery, and you know, and I try to post stuff there as well.
We also have the Archdiocese Facebook as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you can reach us at SOSMA USA. And then we have our international order. Father Christian does a wonderful job. He's out in Colombia, and it's a beautiful group of men dedicated to God, serving God, and doing their thing as well. So
Yeah, they're doing doing awesome, and they've grown exponentially.
yeah. Yeah, and you know, and not like us. We live the ministry, but they live the ministry. You know, they actually, you know, they have their churches and they practice and all that stuff, which is something that, you know, unfortunately, it's a little difficult to do here in America because everything is money, money, money. You know, but our guys in the international order are well-established priests as well. You know, they were with the Vatican, and you know, they've gone independent as well, which is a beautiful thing. It's an expression of our faith.
That's excellent.
And Christine, I like Domino's pizza. But it's got to be thin crust. It's got to be pan tossed pizza.
Thank
I
you.
don't like the regular dough.
Hand
Okay.
tossed, some little butter, garlic butter,
Yeah.
and it's good.
Hmm.
For me.
Yeah.
Hey, we'll have
Italian
to get it.
sausage and pepperoni.
We'll have to get him here, Ron, and have him and take him to Aromas.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
Good.
a bunch of dudes from
Pizza's-
Brooklyn.
Yeah, we have a place here in my town called Vicini's, and these guys are from Brooklyn too. They got some really good pizza. They got Zeppoli's, you know, the powdered
Yeah.
sugar donuts.
Yep.
Those are good. Yeah, I love it. I love pizza. I'm from New York, so I love pizza. I love pizza and I love hot dogs.
I like
You know.
calzone too, man. Calzone.
Yeah.
You know, I can't stand calzones. I think they're a
Really?
waste. Yeah, because every time I get a calzone out here, it's nothing but dough and hardly any meat.
Oh no,
I
man!
haven't had it.
You'll have to get one out here, man. Like they're huge too.
Yeah.
Ron
Yeah.
got one. He's like, dude, this is bigger than I am.
Well, you know, I have a 17-year-old Chihuahua Chiweenie, right? His name is Rico. He's like 10 pounds and he's like this big. Yeah, I had a calzone that was his size. It's like, oh, you're the size of my dog, man.
So it probably took him out to see that, huh? He was like, "What's in the
Yeah,
box?"
yeah. It's like it's sausage. You know, he's a sausage dog. He's like, Dad, you're a jerk. Yeah.
Yeah, man. The calzone that I got that day with the Archbishop, man, that was bigger than a pizza box. That was
It was.
Oh,
calzone that was bigger
nice.
than a box, man. That was something serious. I did not expect money.
We
I did.
had a good day that day.
Yeah. I mean, and this is what I love about what we do. You know, we're regular human beings and we're just sitting here breaking bread, and these conversations come natural. And that's who we are. You know, we're not going to portray to be a homie, oh, da, da. You know, we don't do that stuff. You know, we're not your typical parish priest. I consider myself more of a street priest. You know, I'm going to give it to you how it is. I'm going to hit you with love, mercy, kindness, and compassion. And you know, I'm not going to play with you. I'm going to pray for you. You know what I mean? I don't play with your feelings. I'll pray for your feelings, you know. But if you get offended, then that's not my fault.
We're supposed to all be adults here and respect it. Respect.
Exactly.
I respect other people's opinions all the time that are not my own.
Yeah. It's like, hey, cool. You know, it's an interesting idea. It's an interesting idea. It's a good concept. Okay, I can respect it.
Yeah.
With the capital K at the end.
Now, in the discernment cases, all right. Let's talk a little bit about something else here. Are we going to be able to end up having conversations about voodoo for a minute?
We could. I mean, it's been. I mean, I know a little bit about voodoo, but to be honest with you, like I've got books that I study the occult. Not that I practice it. It's important to distinguish the two. There's a difference between studying and practicing. And the reason why it's important to, you know, for me to study these things is because we deal with many different clients around the world, and everyone has a belief system. So it's important to understand where people come from. You know, if you just come in here and say, well, I'm a Christian, I don't care about your belief systems, you know, everything else is null and void, then you're doing it wrong. You have to understand where people come from. You know, you have to understand what being diverse means. And so, like with voodoo, for me, you know, it's an Afro-Caribbean practice. It's along the lines of Santeria. It's really powerful. You know, you pray to the Orishas. You know, do I like it? No, it's not for me. I do know it's powerful. A lot of the curses are hard to break, but they can be broken. And so that's where I stand with voodoo. It's a very powerful belief system. But as like anything else, it's all about the power of intention. Because people are intending for these things to happen, and that's what they practice, and that's what they believe. So,
yeah.
All right, guys, and I think we're getting like near the end now. Let's kind of wrap it up a little bit. We'll have to have you on again, Ken. Archbishop Ken.
Yeah, you know,
we have to have you on again.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely so. Just I just gotta, you know. Yeah, I got to go in and check in my dogs and, you know, check some stuff for the wife.
Well, let's we're end the show like we always do. Name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Be our defense against the wickedness and the snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do you, O Prince of the heavenly host, by the power of God, thrust into hell Satan and the other evil spirits who prowl about the world seeking the ruins of souls. Amen.
Amen.
Yeah. Another safe journey, man.
All right. You know,
being a part of this, I appreciate you, Ken.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it, brothers. You guys be blessed. I love you all. And be talking to you guys tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in.
Stay
Have
safe.
a good one.
Say good night,
Stay vigilant. Yeah.
Stay sharp, stay vigilant, be safe. And amongst all, always protect yourself.
Always.
There you go.
Cool. All right. Good night, guys.
Too.
All right, brothers. I'll talk to you.
Hi, I'm Archbishop Matthew RAWCLIFFE. Please join me and some great guests as we take a journey where I will spread positive and enlightened messages to educate, heal, and help others as we chat about various subjects with the help of God. Tune in every second and fourth Thursdays at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific on Paranormal King Radio Network.